I honestly really didn't care that much about the serving the Lord part of that equation. I ended up getting involved with worship ministries because of my mom. She had encouraged me, like, why don't you play in a band at church and serve the Lord? I didn't have friends who were dedicated to being in a band, so I was like, all right, that seems good. My audition was completely ridiculous. I showed up in a black t-shirt that had a guitar pick on it, and inside the guitar pick it said, "Pick Jesus." It got even worse because I thought I should play "Meant to Live" by Switchfoot, which, you know, in hindsight, I don't think was actually that bad of a song choice. Also, I played Slither by Velvet Revolver. I didn't do the solo or anything like that, but yeah, I was just like, oh, this is such a ripping riff. Like, they're gonna hear this and be like, this kid's legit. I don't think that's what they thought. I would say my whole life honestly changed. God really worked on me during that time. It was the people I was around and our, worship pastor who really pushed me to go deeper with my faith and to learn that worship music wasn't about like being a really awesome band on the stage. It was about serving the Lord and leading people in worship of the Lord. It was a heart posture, not really a skill posture. And by being a part of the worship ministries team, I finally felt like I belonged. Not only did I feel like kind of cool because I played in a band at church, but being around people who not only love the Lord, but seem to love me and care about me and my journey was like the biggest thing. I was a music industry major at USC. Just about when I graduated, I had the opportunity to play at a church as a contractor, and I think for the first 2 to maybe even 3 years after college, I played just about every single weekend. It was amazing in the beginning. It's all I wanted to do was to spend my weekends at church playing guitar, and the fact that I was able to make some money doing it was just like the cherry on top.
That was a lot of fun, actually. This is a good crew, really nice people.
And I think the part I underestimated was how quickly I would burn out. Playing at church certainly became less enjoyable over time. I found that I was less focused on the actual ministry element of it, and I was starting to become more focused on like, gosh, I can't make any mistakes. I gotta learn these songs every week. I gotta prep the sounds. I gotta show up. I gotta execute. I gotta rinse and repeat next week.
2 services down today, 3 more tomorrow. Let's go home.
I think the burnout factor was real, but because playing at church had become a portion of my income, I kind of just fought through it because I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna replace this with right now. Now my relationship with the church and with Christ was kind of filtered through almost a business relationship. While I was at church every weekend and still involved in that sense, it was difficult to actually feel like I was engaging with church because even when I would sit in a service, I would be distracted. It's almost like the sermon becomes your lunch break. So I think mentally it's just so easy to be checked out. In 2022, I finally decided to take a step back. I had been serving essentially as the music director at a church for about a year, and it was probably my favorite music director role I've ever done. It was just super far away. So doing that midweek and Sundays was getting to be a lot because I was working a full-time slate outside of that. It was just too much to do that every weekend plus the other work I was doing, and I was still just kind of burnt out. Like I didn't really want to work in the church full-time, so I said, I think I'm gonna let this go. There's a lot of things I think people misunderstand about worship, and there are a lot of things I certainly misunderstood and probably still misunderstand now. I think because worship is such a visual experience as well, right? You see the people on the stage, they're into the music, people have their hands raised, like you think these people are like super spiritual and like really in touch with Christ and in tune with the Holy Spirit. And I think it's just really easy to assume those things about people and not understand that like there are moments when people are just faking it till they make it. And I think that's totally okay. That's life, and I think sometimes that's faith on some level. It's like, even when you don't have the trust, you have to try to have the faith to trust. And, God bridges that gap. Like, God sustained me even in those moments where I was just totally not into it and totally treating it as just a job. Oh man, I would tell my younger self many things. I think I would say in regards to worship music to not lose the heart of what it's about and to just have fun. Because once I became a contractor, I was still able to have fun, but there was just something that happened. Like over time, it just became more and more serious and so much more focused on like, am I getting better? Am I serving the right way? Am I performing at my best ability? You know, all those pressures are gonna be there with any job. This is music and it's worship ministry. It's meant to be joyful. So just shake all the pressure off. A, only affecting your performance negatively, and B, it's like so secondary. Let's be real, guys. Half the time you can't even hear the guitar in the mix at most churches. And also, even if you can't, it's all right if you make a mistake. Like, even the best musicians make mistakes. Worship ministry looks a lot different for me today. I am not a consistent player anywhere anymore. I am a filling guy, so I probably play like 1 or 2 weekends out of the month. After so many years of basically playing almost every single weekend and going from church to church, it was really nice to just be planted at a church and to go and to actually catch the whole sermon series and to kind of feel like a normal person on the weekend. And there are times I miss it, for sure. There is something enjoyable about playing guitar, even when it's a job. Like, I mean, that's the whole point, right? That's why people pursue careers like this. It's not because they think it's gonna be not fun. I think this is a good balance for me. It's hard to do a full-time slate of work and try and do YouTube and also play every weekend. Like, it's just not feasible. I think the most important thing is by dialing it back, I think my faith is in a better place now than it was then. Like when I play at church, it feels like a treat now, and it feels like serving. It's just like a special thing of like, sweet, I get to use the gifts God gave me back for his kingdom, and it breaks up the schedule a little bit.
I think pack up is just so much easier now that we're in the modeler era, and I finally fully adopted the modeler era.
Like, there's a lot of practical things that are good and spiritual things that are good. I started in worship ministry because I just wanted to be in a band and be cool. And here I am today, where the Lord has really just taken my heart and molded it, and he is still molding it. It's just wild to think about. I am a completely different person today because of the role of worship ministry in my life. And it's a journey I'm really grateful to be on. Now, I know a lot of you guys are in this field as well, so I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment down below, like on the video if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel if you're new. And I'll catch you next time. What I'm curious about is, for practice, do you guys use the same guitar you're gonna use on the weekend? Because I usually don't. I typically pick my guitar that has the worst strings on it to practice with. So for me right now, that's this